We're going live now. Yesterday, we were integrating cooperation with subjective control, objective control, definite plans, organized effort, proficiency on your vocation. Ricardo is on as well. Ricardo's got 50 plus years neuroscience, 30 plus years in neurofeedback, and we will dive in. The importance in having definite plans, organized effort, and proficiency in the chosen vocation. Before you can intelligently proceed to develop the qualities described as the essentials to success, you must understand what they are and exactly what functions each performs. Therefore, we will now define the meaning of the terms with which these qualities have been described. Definite plans. The terms means that one must proceed toward the attainment of one's definite purpose with plans that are as definite and as clearly defined and fixed in one's mind as the purpose itself. Merely deciding on a definite purpose and then waiting for it to materialize through outside effort is not enough. In other words, one must acquire the habit of doing everything one does with the aid of plans that are clearly defined. Nothing must be left to luck or chance. The place to begin developing this habit is in connection with the small details of one's daily work. Organized effort. As has already been explained elsewhere in this course, the term organized effort means that one must develop the strategic ability to direct one's effort in such a manner as to take advantage of the law of increasing returns. This calls for cooperative ability to the highest order. And proficiency in chosen vocation. This term means that one's definite purpose in life must be in harmony with one's training and education. If the definite purpose is out of proportion to one's ability, then it is obvious that greater ability must be developed before one can hope to attain the object of that purpose. So here we move into the terms of definitions and your chosen vocation. Remember that you are contributing, literally contribution. Your vital life force, your spirit, is a contribution to the world. It always has been. The moment you entered this world, you entered a life, you entered a body. You're literally contributing that vital life force to the world you see. The chosen vocation literally attracts an outer ring around you. The centering effect is the chosen vocation. So many people don't understand this. Consciousness must center itself and then view the world from that state. Consciousness, spirit, must center itself and then view the world from that state. So this chosen vocation literally controls reality as you see it. Why? It's the centering effect. You choose to be a mechanic, you're going to find tools. You're going to find equipment to work on. You choose to be a lifeguard. You'll find yourself, you have to be right next to water. You'll find people that are drowning. You decide that your contribution of your vocation, you decide that you're going to be an accountant. You will find a company to work for, and you'll have to learn the principles of accounting. And depending on the company that you go and work with, you'll be analyzing financials. You'll be adjusting things, working with the team there. You choose to give your life to selling peanuts on the street. That is still a chosen vocation. You are contributing that vital life force in degree, and by law you must attract a city street, and you must attract peanuts, and you will attract the people that you're going to sell them to. So the chosen vocation in which you choose moves you into that position, and then the outer ring will be the people, the places, the plots, the circumstances, conditions that you will unite with. Unity. You choose to contribution could be real estate. You must learn and apply sales techniques. You'll need to find homes. You'll find a demographic. You'll find the homes, the type of homes you're going to sell, the people you're going to sell them to. And everything is always in equal proportion to the amount you're going to earn. So what you line yourself up with are the ideas that you choose in a chosen vocation. I worked for people that were selling homes, and I was earning the same amount of money. They had attracted, their outer ring was aligning them with earning medium income. They were living a medium income life, and they always attracted medium income. They wanted more, but they would always find the same amount, couldn't get out of the system. Well, he was selling to the people he was comfortable with. So here comes the outer perimeter, aligns them perfectly in alignment with that model. So vocation, even though at the time he could have been selling multi-million-dollar homes, he wasn't in harmony with that at the time. So a lot of times we don't understand that not only the vocation, but not only the placement where we place ourselves is going to be in harmony with that chosen vocation, but even the amount of money we earn will line you up with serving those type of people. Later on, I worked with him. He started to sell multi-million-dollar properties. Then he changed his income, but he had to get out of the comfort zone and serve a different demographic. So here we go again, looking at the outer ring. The outer ring is just the result of the centering of your consciousness in the way you view the world, the way you view yourself in that world. The people that you're okay with serving, or you're in harmony with, you're in alignment. So everything positions us back to what we're comfortable with, who we're comfortable surrounding ourselves with, and who we're not. If you're not comfortable serving certain types of people, gathering, uniting with certain types of people, it's not because you can't. It's because your vocation, your awareness, your personality, your characteristics, and your habits are in alignment with what you know. And this is where you must become self-aware and how to rearrange yourself to rearrange matter as you see it, results as you want them. I work with entrepreneurs earning the same amount of money. They want more, but they continue to serve the same people in the same manner and not wanting to produce more sales or change their sales strategy or the people they serve. The people they serve is in alignment with their beliefs and what they're okay with earning. So here goes again the psychology behind our belief and behavior, and it's adjusted according to what we believe is possible or who we're comfortable in serving. And we move again to the centering effect. It's the way we think. Entrepreneurs that they build a company, they're building their own business, but they really built a job and they're still stuck in the system. Because the way they originally built it was M1 strategy. M1 strategy is time for money. So they move out of a time for money business and they go and create another business that's time for money, and they're stuck. Again, not understanding the psychology behind the way we think. When it comes to businesses, companies, money, if our strategy is value production, we will always look for a business and position ourselves where it's time for money or salary for money. We'll even build the business as an M1 strategy. M2 is you invest money to earn money. Different strategy, business model. M3, value creation. You create products, sales, or services for other people. And if you're still part of it, then you built the model in that manner. You attracted the people in that model. You can do M3 strategy, multiple sources of income. You create value, products, and services for other people. They go acquire the business, sell the products, sell the services. And if you still see this yourself as running it, that's the strategy you built unconsciously, and you'll have to rewrite the model again. So all these different perceptions of the way things have to be done is according to our awareness and how we see ourselves. I've given you guys different abstractions, different ways of analyzing consciousness, the things we do to the things we have. Ricardo?
Yes, buddy, here I am. I was looking for the adequate buttons.
How are
Hi,
you?
buddy. Good morning. Learning to live, buddy, as I listen to you. Always surprises me. I think you're going to go left and you go right with the words. Darn. Great. What's up, my friend? How can
Let's
be
go
I be
over
of help?
this cooperative force.
Tell me, this way of understanding cooperation, you've built it upon Napoleon Hill's concept, no? Conception, right?
Well, this is it's the work of many different aspects. Today, we wanted to give everybody value. We're going live as much as we can, something practical that they can apply and use in their chosen vocations, right? The truth is, everybody's moving out of consciousness, and if they don't understand the foundational structure of consciousness and why what we do, we remain stuck. Right. So I wanted today to give everyone value on the strategy towards the centering effect. And it literally is, it's money. Everybody's looking to earn money because that is what controls our behavior.
Okay.
Why? Because this is something that we have to have. The minute we move into the world, when we don't understand money, we'll be controlled by it. Even if you don't want to. Even if you don't want to work for money, you're still going to be controlled by it. Why? Because it controls your behavior. And you're going to say, it does not control my behavior. How many hours a day do you contribute your time to earning money?
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned what I mentioned when I started talking right now is because I was pondering about how human beings searched for the nature of consciousness within themselves as individuals. When Buddha was alive, Gautama Siddhartha, no? Guma was alive, Buddha was alive. And in that period of life, the period of time, there were people who really yearned for accessing consciousness within themselves. And when Buddha came about, he taught people about it. That's why he became so popular, because exactly He was born right at the moment where that was very, very relevant to a bunch of people. Of course, they didn't know those people, but they lived their lives with that inquietud or with that restlessness. So he comes
Exactly.
out and he teaches them, no? And one of the things in that period of time, this is important, is that he taught people two things. Okay, one, okay, well, you want to live yourself in a clarity of consciousness. Okay, then you're gonna have to demand your body to let go of many things that distract you from that you are looking for. So from that kind of declaration, it stemmed out the concept of samana, the people who actually dressed in a particular color and they walked all over India without eating, literally without eating, because that's the way they wanted to conquer the body. Literally, this really happened. Of course, we are not going to do that. Definitely not. But this afan, this yearning, this push to go towards consciousness and activate it in ourselves, they took it in that particular way. Okay, I'm going to not satiate my physical needs. I'm going to control that, and I'm going to show my body who's boss here, because I don't want these physical drives to distract me from really is important to me, consciousness. So that's one of the things that Buddha showed people, and many people did it that way. And the other thing is, okay, the people I'm dealing with at this particular age in the development of humanity is people that do not want to question much. They don't want to sit there and start pondering about stuff. No, they just want instructions. What do I do? And I'll do it. So he developed Vipassana, which is a type of meditation where you just sit down and tell the body, shut up and sit down. And you gotta stay there for hours. Yeah, he did that, really. Okay, so you got almost starve yourself to death, almost, yeah, and oblige the body to sit up. And well, we have it inherited in the Western part. We have not inherited this thing of killing your body that way. But there are people now, even now, that really, really very disciplined-like, they practice Vipassana. Okay? Now, we are now 2025. You've been doing your stuff because you have a different way of approaching. I want consciousness in my life. What the hell do I do? Whom do I have to kill? You know, that kind of thing. And I've done the same thing. You've done it with energy. I've done it with information. And here we meet. And then as I was pondering about that, I sent you a video on that. And I discovered, oh my God, the work we're doing with Abraham is no longer about starving the body. It's no longer about forcing the body to sit down and stay there, instructions, because I don't want to think about nothing. I don't want to explore my thoughts and no. I just want to make the body obey, period. Nowadays, it is not that way. Nowadays, it's exactly the other way around. Okay, let's make some money here because I want to give my body everything it needs. That's my drive here. But where the hell is consciousness? How do I get this drive, this new drive, this modern drive that I want consciousness in my life, but I also want money? See, that's what I feel that you and I were born and we were supposed to meet so that to teach people the modern way of approaching consciousness and allowing consciousness to settle itself in our lives.
Very good. And that's where I was going with was the last aspect. Why do we want to earn money? What most people to earn money? Well, survival.
Yeah, indeed.
So what causes everyone to go earn money, want to earn money? Survival. They have to survive. They have to eat. So the root energy is being stimulated to go beyond itself. And the root energy has always forced man to go beyond themselves, to go beyond nature. Now, if I were to look at conscious or humanity as a whole, and I were to reverse time, I would find that the individual that was going beyond the senses, that was going beyond conditions and circumstances, and bringing down value, would always live the life that he desired. It was just ignorance. The value is where it's free. Where's the value? Upside down. It was always in the heavens. Any individual that had the conscious awareness to tap into that field of memory and to bring that memory down to change the lives of others would always be compensated for his magic. They call it magic. It's his connection with higher source to bring down ideas that will take people beyond nature. And the individual that had the connection with consciousness and integrate it with his body and tell his body what to do, give his body a command not to starve itself, not to sit down and be quiet, but to get up and create.
Yeah, indeed.
Was always compensated for it. So he
Yeah.
did not neglect. He did control the body. He did control the awareness of the body, and he did interact with the higher consciousness. And then he evolved himself and his family to experience consciousness beyond the senses.
And in this period of life right now, where we are right now, this modern way of approaching consciousness by contact with the thing Buddha taught at that time, is that now, and watch all around us, Abraham, now everybody wants an explanation. Give me an explanation. They start asking questions. They want explanations and answers to those questions. Whereas when Buddha was there, people didn't want that. They were not pondering, I give me an explanation of how things work. They didn't want that. Just give me an instruction. So I'll force my body. I'll do Vipassana over there, and I'll force my body. I won't eat. Because what I want more importantly is not to be distracted from my ultimate goal, which is I want to be consciousness.
Yep.
Now, no. People, yeah, they want that. There's some, not everybody, but there's some people, I suppose the ones that are here are after that want to be consciousness, and they want to understand. They want to ponder. They want clarification. You see what I'm saying? No? And what do, Abraham? We offer explanations. Damn.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Yeah, indeed.
We offer not only an explanation, but also the awareness to enter into higher states of consciousness, to experience the life that you desire, not to be controlled as well by habits. Why did they want to break out of whatever they were living? Because the body was controlling consciousness. The body was telling it what to do. The body and the program, this is what they didn't understand, the body and the program behind that body was telling them what to eat, drink, sleep, what time to get up, what time to sit down. The program was in control. What they became aware of was that there was a mental program in their subconscious, and it was controlling the body and telling it what to do. So they were getting a positioning of consciousness, or how to reprogram some programs to reach higher consciousness. So that was one aspect that was teaching and training people how to deprogram and how to reprogram the body and begin to take it to a higher consciousness to understand consciousness itself.
As you can see, if we are providing explanations, that requires very specific, almost technical vocabulary that people must learn to use in order to define exactly what it is they are talking about. And when they communicate with each other, they use the vocabulary they've understood so that they know exactly what they're talking about when they give each other messages, about the processes involved. Yep. That's why this kind of explanation requires absolute clarity of definition. So that's where distinctions come in, which allow exactly for that. The distinctions make visible that which was invisible before you made the distinction. That was not present in the people in the time of Buddha. It wasn't present.
Well, and the majority, no.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yes.
Because let's look at this, the degree of cooperation with the creative force. Let's look at the degree of cooperation of the creative force within the individuals. There has always been a percentage of people that were always bringing values to society and in altering society.
Indeed.
And there has always been a large majority that were always giving up their will and following the masses. A long time ago, you would think that things would have changed, to today it's still the same. 97% are still going in the wrong direction.
The thing is, we have to teach people to understand that you can go in the right direction, which is against the grain of how the mind actually flows. The mind flows from the inside towards the outside. That's this natural grain of flow. And when you want to go into self-knowledge, even though into personal development, even more into spiritual development, you're going against the grain. You're going against the natural flow of the mind, which is always from the inside to the outside. Now you want to go from the outside to the inside. So that we have to teach people that it is possible to do that and not have to sacrifice making your money with it.
Yeah, we'll just sacrifice consciousness itself. Forget about money. Just consciousness itself. We're integrating this and showing this. It is not just about money. It's about everything.
Yeah.
But everything is controlled by money because you have to pay everything physically. Now, we integrate it with professional life, your personal decisions as well. Everything is integrated from an inside to an outside, from an outside to an inside. All it is doing is just reflecting what you know. And if you cannot reprogram what you know, you don't rewrite the program itself, because the program's inside of you. You keep moving out of your subjective mind. If you keep moving out of the program itself, you can only build more of the program. If you keep moving to the ideas from the past, from the people that you saw, from the environment you grew up in, if you keep moving out of consciousness with that information, you keep bringing more of that information. You see, everything goes back to that autonomic nerve system, that reticular activating system, and the way it was programmed, not you. You is irreducible. You, the higher side of you, is irreducible. Pure light, divine light. Underneath the layers of programming, gathered, your vital life force, your spirit, gathered the information from the environment. It's producing what it knows. Maybe through the time it's become more aware gradually, but the average individual is just reproducing what they know.
And I'd like to, James just said something. We must become the distinctions. We want to be the distinctions. And exactly the distinctions that we are capable nowadays, to introduce into this whole hoopla stuff, of consciousness, those distinctions are making visible that which was invisible a second before you made it visible. And when you understand the distinction, you actually activate the mechanism of that distinction in your own self.
And then in your outside world, if you're able to fulfill it.
Yes,
to
exactly.
Express it.
Exactly. So that generates an exigency. The word is beautiful in Spanish, exigencia. I think the word is also in English, no exigency, but it isn't much used, no? Exigency. So that's very important, because when you go deep into where actually in the mind, which is called the heart of the mind in my work, and that heart of the mind is profoundly connected to consciousness itself. Everything that happened in the heart of the mind is because of direct influence of consciousness inside of the heart of the mind. And out of there comes an imperative, which is called urgency. An imperative which is called urgency. It belongs there. It is spawned there and only there, urgency. Whereas if you go all the way to the brain, and specifically to the subcortical area of the brain, there's a different imperative there. The imperative there is called emergency. Emergency. This has to do with I'm not going to be able to eat, or they're going to eat me. Hey, emergency. You see, that's the other end of the spectrum. So you got emergency as an imperative that organizes itself and is spawned by the subcortical aspects of your brain. Emergency is there. That's where it happens. On the other side, you got urgency. Look at that. Urgency. That comes from consciousness. And in the middle, look at that. As a middleman between emergency and urgency, there's exigency. You see? Exigency, what you want to expect of yourself, what you want other people to expect from you, and what you expect from other people. Exigency. You see what I'm saying? That's a beautiful word, because then you can distinguish it from demand. Demand is a pressure that comes from the outside. You see what I'm saying? But exigency is a pressure that comes from within, as a middleman between emergency and urgency. See what I'm saying? Yes? Yes? And in the area of emergency, or in other words, just the brain. But do remember, when I say just the brain, I am in my mind making automatically, without, I may not talk about it, but I'm always making that distinction between the cortical and the subcortical regions of the brain. This is very important to distinguish. You may not understand exactly the difference, because I've said it a couple of times, but not enough. I know that. But you have to be able to understand the difference. Really, it behooves you to understand it, because there are different demands coming from the cortical and the subcortical. And the imperative that comes from the subcortical is pure emergency. And one of the mechanisms in emergency, there are several, okay? They're very interesting. One is the emergency reaction, that's one mechanism. The other one's called negativity bias, that's another mechanism. And the one I want to talk about right now is simple, it's very simple, is valence. You got valence, negativity bias, and emergency reaction. Those are three mechanisms among many others that are just, they come out of the subcortical cortex. Yeah, the subcortical cortex, yeah? The subcortical part region of your brain. So let's a little bit just about valence, so you understand the nature of programming. Everything around programming, okay, gyrates, spins around valence. What do I mean by that word, that little word? Valence is not value. Value is a different thing. Value is something purely human. That's a different phenomenon. I'm just talking about valence. Valence. What do I mean by that? When you have an experience, what is experience? Experience is your contact with the environment, and the environment's contacting you. It's that contact between you and the environment that is called experience. And the brain has an architecture to handle experience. As a matter of fact, any experience is the result of the architecture of the brain. So, what is valence? When you have an experience, the brain will immediately measure the nature of that experience. Without you knowing it, you are not aware of it. It's totally unconscious. It will do it for you, because the brain is sentient. It isn't conscious. It is sentient. Okay? It has sensations that are utterly at the service of just surviving. Okay? That is called sentience. Now, the neocortex, you see what I'm saying? The difference between subcortex and neocortex. The neocortex adds a beautiful sophistication to that survival thing and survival theme of sentience. And it makes sentience much more sophisticated. But it isn't conscious. Okay? It's just sentient. And what that is cognition. Cognition is a beautiful phenomenon. It happens in the neocortex. And it adds all kinds of versatility to sentience, which is all about, in its basis, about just survival. So let's go back to valence. When you have an experience, okay, the brain subcortically will decide. It will decide for you. Is this experience kind? Is this experience sustaining my well-being? Yes or no? You see, it's binary. Yes or no? Yes, it is. It is called positive valence. Just the word positive is representing that it is directed towards your well-being, is supportive of your well-being. Okay, it would be associated automatically with the chemicals of pleasure. Automatically. Whether you know it or not doesn't matter. It will automatically be associated with the chemistry of pleasure, because everything that happens in the brain is a molecular machinery, period. Okay? But now, if the experience doesn't happen to be positive, it will not be supportive of your well-being. It will not. It threatens you. It can take you to the hospital. It can kill you. Okay? Then that is called negative valence. Please understand this. Valence is ascribed to any experience by your subcortex. It happens automatically. especially between 0 and 7 years of age, between 7 and 14 years of age, and between 14 and 21 years of age. And as the new subcortex is assigning valence, positive or negative, to your experience, programming happens around that valence. And then after 21, you're just using the same program with this particular valence inscribed right in it. See what I'm saying? Okay? So upon that foundation, we could talk about everything else. So if you want to talk about the standard of living, for example, that has to do everything with what? Survival. Except that now, among civilized quote unquote human beings, it is no longer called survival. It's called subsistence. Subsistence. That's the adequate word. And it's a result of what? Of developing your professional life. When you do subsistence, you are making a living. Like Abraham says, you're trading your body for money, your time for money. You're making a living. Yeah, that's called subsistence.
Earning.
Earning, yeah, beautiful, yeah. Earning, yeah, that's a good word. You see what I'm saying, yes? But there's something beyond that. You see, there's something beyond that. Okay, that is called not subsistence, it's called prosperity. It's different. If you want prosperity in your life, then you got to get involved with what is my contribution to others, because I want to learn to live. I just do not want to learn to subsist, to survive. I want to learn to live. You see, it's a different, entirely different dimension of human existence. An animal will not ask that. It doesn't need to. You see? So when you're talking about, I want to learn to live, it means there's a wiring in the neocortex cognition, okay, that will organize all 640 muscles of your body in order to learn to respond and to propose. Respond and propose. There's a wiring for that, literally, that organizes 640 muscles that allow you to do and say stuff. That's how you respond. That's how you propose. When you respond, it's called dealing. You're handling the present. When you propose, that's called steering. You're handling an emergent future. That is very powerful stuff. And you got 640 muscles doing either one or the other at a given moment. You're either dealing with the experience or you're steering it. You're responding to it or you're proposing. You're steering it. You see what I'm saying? You see, this is what the neocortex allows us to do. But you have to want to learn to live, not just stay in subsistence, which takes you to where? To prosperity. You see? But what's underlying all that? Always, don't forget, always is valence. You see, assigning valence. But you're using older programs, which you acquire from 0 to 21. So you'll be repeating that valence that is already inserted in the program. That's where you have to stop and question yourself.
If you can become aware in between those states.
Yes, sir.
And then be aware where the issues are at.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yes.
The average individual, this process is happening in a millisecond. Faster than I snap my fingers, you're transmitting information between yourself, to yourself, through that process. And the average individual never even becomes aware. They don't become conscious in between those steps of consciousness itself. And they just keep retrieving old files and going to their automatic and doing what they know.
So that implies, Abraham, that changing your awareness, waking up your awareness inside of you, is changing the nature of your cooperation with yourself.
Oh, yeah. And that thing that's causing you to move and act and behave as it does. And that's where Buddha was maybe working towards illustrate the control of certain bias mechanisms that are just automatic. You just go and do what your body says. You just go and eat just because it tells you to eat. You just go and move just because your body tells you to move. Right? Slow down. Control the flow. Become more conscious. Here, but this in these distinctions is awareness. How can you break out of a system you don't even know you're in? How can you break out of a jail you don't know you're in? So that when you don't have the abstractions, you don't have the awareness of the process called thinking, the average individual just move along through life with their ideas. Let's move into that. Let's stay in the area, the foundation of the vigilance.
Yeah, these programs we're talking about, they entail automatically repeating automatic dialogues with yourself, of course.
Vigilance, valiance. Who is measuring behind the scenes? Who has decided what you do today? Somewhere in between vigilance, to become vigil, valiance, that is doing it on its own. Subcortex, automatic, well, let's say the program. You moved into the environment. The environment's looking, observing. You think that you're thinking, observing, but the program is thinking and observing for you, according to what it knows. And then it decides and makes decisions for you on what you're going to do and not do. It is very imperative to understand that space, if you don't become aware, you're just going to keep doing it. If you cannot move in, become aware in that space, you're going to continue to move into the world as you
do. If I may, Abraham, okay.
I want to stay right here. I don't want to move.
Yeah. I got it.
You need a teeter-totter between the valiance. Who is monitoring what I do? What is monitoring what I do? And then what decides for me whether I stay within this area or I move beyond?
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes. This is the point where Abraham wants to stand still, okay, and dilate he wants to dilate the instant. That's what's asking. That's what he's asking. Let's dilate this instant. We stop it, and then only then can we open it up to see what's in there. That's called instant dilation. Your dilation, your instant. That very moment. And when you ask the question, the one he just asked, what's happening in the state of vigilance? Okay, this is a very important question, but it is very, very subtle. It's answered, at least from my point of view, as a neuroscientist. Okay, because vigilance is a phenomenon that happens from within the brain itself, but the mind will use it. That's the problem with understanding the difference. So people want a recipe, they'll do everything together. They don't distinguish between the two. And even my own colleagues in neuroscience, I'm a neuroscientist, I've been working this for 50 years, even my own colleagues do not make that distinction. Literally, believe me. When they write books, they become bestsellers, they do not make that distinction between, for example, vigil and vigilance. Okay? An animal is in vigil, and he can be vigilant. Of course, and he has to be. Otherwise, he will be eaten. Or he's got to be vigilant in order to eat.
He is pressed to reach higher states of consciousness.
So, what I'm referring to right now is sentience is a word that applies only to the living brain and the living body, to nothing else but that. Whether you're talking about a flea, a dolphin, a hippopotamus, or yourself. Sentience is just that. And we have inherited the legacy of millions of years of this matter developing sentience all the way to the sophisticated human brain, which is sentient. But the sentience of our human brain allows us connection to the mind. You see, and awareness is not sentience. Awareness is born inside the mind. Being conscious of something is not being aware. And yet being conscious is also born inside the mind. You see, and to take something into account, to take it into consideration, that which you were aware, now you want to take it into account. That is also born in the mind. And then you want to abide by an impulse. You want to change the impulse you always abided by, but now you want to change it. You want to heed a different impulse. That is also born inside the mind. But it will interact with sentience in the brain and change the molecular machinery of sentience in the brain. See, I'm making the ultimate distinction here. You see, I don't know if it will make sense to you, but this is actually the very basis of understanding of humanity. Our brain does not make us human. The heart of the mind in our minds is what makes us human. And that humanity goes into the brain and changes cognition, and changes emotion, and changes instinct. Even to such a degree that humanity has learned to use the subcortical imperatives of emergency and instinct and emotion to say the following. Well, I now have a cause to die for, or I now have a cause to live for. This is what we have used to talk about stuff, that I belong to something bigger than myself and I'm going to kill for that. Now I have a cause to live for, or now I have a cause to die for. That's the way we have touched the subcortex, and we transformed it into such, I call it shitty stuff. But we've done it. And we keep on doing it. I belong to the superior country called Russia. Okay? Because I belong that to which is bigger than me. I now have a cause to kill for. Because I'm not going to allow them to kill me. And the same says Trump. And the same says Zelensky. Oh, of course, they all want peace. No, peace is not staying in your comfort zone. His peace is going out of your comfort zone and being good with that. Because you're not reduced to what that has to be reduced. Consciousness, as it comes out into the world, needs to be reduced in order to partake of different layers of itself.
So that it may understand itself.
So that it can understand itself in all layers. Man, have we killed people for that. Man, oh man. So we got to stop doing that stuff. You see what I'm saying? Yes?
It's imperative to understand how consciousness is diluting itself according to the observer. The vigilance inside the individual himself, the valiance. If the positioning of valiance is duality, you'll find that. If the valiance is multiplicity, it'll become that. It'll view the world from that state. If the valiance is unity consciousness, it'll view the world from a completely different state.
Beautiful. That's quite so. So I'm sorry, I did a digression. So I was just pointing out the elements that come from the brain. Sentience, okay? And in the brain, sentience, indeed, out of vigil comes vigilance. They are not the same thing. And vigilance is the capacity to use, you pay attention to something, you maintain attention to something. You are alert to something, you are on guard against something. You are aroused with something. You see what I'm saying? Those are the components of vigilance, which is different from vigil.
Because the awareness needs to be at the valiance. Consciousness must become aware before the distinctions are made within itself. Otherwise, it's a program that's automated.
Yeah, indeed, beautiful. Now, a child will do that naturally if he's allowed. You see.
I want to stay right here in this position. I want to stay right here.
Okay.
So go too far off. And
yeah. Got you. That's okay. So this vigilance thing, which is born inside of the mind, inside of the brain. All animals can do that, okay? Because then they can select what they are pay attention to. And then they maintain their attention to whatever it is. But in human beings, there's an added little caveat. Insignificant one. What is it? That this vigilance is at the service of you coming out into the world through the vigilance.
Let's stop right there. We're at our time. Consciousness in that space must become self-aware beyond its programming. And here's where we've been inserting cooperation, man. There's so much cooperation in between all this positioning of yourself and what you think you know, what you've been told that you know, and that what you really know is truth. I've always looked for truth in between all layers and aspects of truth, but understanding where does it all stem from. I believe if we move more towards the light, we reach unity consciousness, and it's no longer separated from consciousness itself, no longer judging, but looking to understand itself, looking to understand duality, looking to understand multiplicity of dualities, looking to understand the very fiber that makes it itself a thing. We've got 5 minutes before we move into our TM. Do we have, we've got people on our calls, do we have any questions?
Yeah, somebody's asking here. The question is, where does one learn characteristics of becoming more self-expressed in one way or another? That's an important thing. It's got to do with self-reference. Self-reference is the trick word. And we're talking about humans. There is a particular space where self-reference is actually born out of there. And it is not in the chattering mind, it's in the heart of the mind. In the deepest research of the heart of the mind, there's a mechanism called self-reference. And self-reference is the expression of your potential. Okay? Your potential is made of 3 components, whereby each one of them contains a design, a pattern of information in each one of them, that when you are in touch with that, then you know exactly the direction of your life. That's called self-reference. And you must learn to become conscious of that direction by learning to hitch onto this potential. Potential has 3 components in it at the same time. They're not separated in time, because in the heart of the mind, there's no time. It's only space. What do you have there? We have the abundance of information and the abundance of energy. That's what you have in the heart of the mind. But there's a structure to the information, and there's a structure to the energy. Abraham is an expert in the structure of energy and its functions. I'm an expert in the structure and functions of information. So we put together very nicely, like husband and wife. I don't know who's the husband, who's the wife here, but anyway, like husband and wife. So let me say it this way. Potential is made of 3 components. 1, there's a design, look what I'm saying, a pattern of information, a design already present in a tree. There's a tree inside of you. I'm using an analogy here. What kind of tree? We don't know. But there's a tree there with a pattern of information deeply in it. That's accessible to you when you observe it. You can get the information from the pattern of that tree. Inside the tree, there is a fruit. We don't know what kind of fruit, but there is a fruit. And it has a design of its own. And inside the fruit, there is a seed that has also its own design. So you got seed, fruit, and tree. All 3 living in the heart of the mind at the same time. Those 3 are called your potential, your individual potential, whereby you have access to all 3 things at the same time. Then when you go into the chattering mind, then you have to sow your seed, but you know what it is. Then you're going to have to put water in whatever it is, no? And then you're going to have to cultivate it all the way until you get the tree, but you know what it is. And then from the tree, you're going to wait until there's a fruit, but you know what it is. See, but that is already in time. In the chattering mind, that's what starts happening. You see? And the brain will get the instructions to do it outside with what you say and what you do. And then what you do not say and what you do not do as well. But the thing started way back when, before any time. Right there in the heart of your mind. It's right there for you. You just have to read all 3 and get your self-reference from there. This is from where your sense of being comes into existence. Out of contact with this self-reference in your potential. It is your sense of being that comes from there. It is made out of your self-reference of what are the terms of my own existence. that leads to something that's called being. If the being actually installs itself as it should, then you can become, in the chattering mind, what you are. But if that being does not get installed as it should, then you learn to become what you are not.
Well, it also has to do with the awareness. If the awareness is not in the right positioning, it thinks that it's still the code. So there's a fine line on which one is being aware.
You see,
What layer.
yeah. In the chattering mind, I see. I use the words technically. Okay, that's my job. I use it technically. When I use it in a particular way, I mean that and nothing else but that. Okay, so in Spanish, is the concept of tomar conciencia. I love it. It's straight through. No stupidity. Tomar conciencia implies four things. The closest thing in English is to become conscious. That I don't like that. But anyways, you can become conscious. Tomar conciencia. You take consciousness. Tomar conciencia. But in English, you say become conscious. Okay. So okay, I'll use the Spanish, okay? Tomar conciencia is made of four things. One is ser consciente, to be conscious. And the only place you can be conscious in that space whereby the observer arises. The observer becomes an observer because it is capable now of being conscious of whatever. It can be conscious of a content, it can be conscious of itself, or it can be conscious of consciousness itself. I repeat, the observer exists only as an observer because there's a space in which it can be conscious of. The fact that it is conscious of whatever makes it an observer. And that observer can be conscious of a content, a thought, a feeling, a woman, a niche, whatever, which is not him. The observer can also be conscious of itself as its own existence. And the observer can also be conscious of consciousness itself. You see, it's a swivel, a tripartite swivel. And that's the mobility that the observer should be able to retain the very moment he was born. You see, so this is where ser consciente happens.
But right there, that's should, but not if he's trained to be the body.
Yeah, that's why I say should.
The self-reference is no longer I'm a spiritual being living in a physical reality. The self-reference is that I am a physical being.
Yeah, it translates itself into the body and gets trapped there, no?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
No,
thank you guys. Thank you guys that are following, and we have gone a little bit past our time. We invite you guys to get involved in working on yourself, developing yourself. The only way that you can go beyond current conditions, circumstances, is to work on you. Invite you guys to our classes. Thank you guys. Send me a message and have a wonderful day. And let's move into our TM.
Okay, 20 minutes?
You'll have to get off immediately because I'm going to already be running the other class. We're 2 minutes over already.
Okay, I'll do a little less then. Okay, so sit comfortably, please. All of you know how to meditate, I think. Lisa, do you know how to meditate? I don't remember if I initiated.
She hasn't done it yet.
Okay, no one.
We're going into our TM now.
Okay, so sit comfortably, please. Your back straight up. Yes, comfortably. Whatever you define comfortable for yourself, do that. Close your eyes, please. And then let's take your attention and your awareness and your capacity to be conscious of whatever you're doing inwards just by doing the mantra. Just put your attention to the mantra. Everything else the mantra will do for you. You already know the procedure. Okay? I'll control the time. I'll see you on the other side. without opening the eyes. Please do not open the eyes. Stop thinking the mantra. And if the mantra keeps on coming, just do not favor it anymore. As always, do remember, please, do not make an abrupt jump from where you've been back to waking state. To use your vigilance. Don't do that, please. Okay? You've changed your physiology. That's why if you've done it correctly, you'll immediately have the droopy syndrome, in which it happens because the brain has been ordered to drop oxygen consumption to minus 18% during 20 minutes. This is what allows for your mind to let the mantra take you deep into your origins, and on the way, release, undo, expel distress and thoughts in which you lost yourself out. You lost track of yourself and lost sight of yourself. That has been released. Okay? The reason for the droopy syndrome is because of that. So, as you go out, back into the world of vigilance, paying attention, maintaining attention, focalizing, stuff like that, being aroused, being alert, being on guard, always take your time to make a transition, smooth transition, yes? And you move about your joints, and you rub your body, you stretch like a cat, whatever you require, yes? As you open the eyes, be mindful that maybe the eyelids are too heavy, because sometimes the visual system wants to stay close to you just handle that nicely. Okay, Abraham, anything you want to say?
Everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Ciao, bye-bye.